Leo, you've already won. Now, don't move because a shocking amount of money is quietly making its way toward you. You didn't land on this video by accident. You were guided here by the energy you've been carrying in silence, and today, the universe has a response for you. The reward you've waited for, prayed for, fought for, it's finally arriving. And all that's being asked of you now is stillness. The moment you stop pushing, stop explaining, stop trying to prove anything to anyone, that's the exact moment your reality begins to shift. This is not just another spiritual video. This is a divine checkpoint. You're being asked to pause, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is happening behind the scenes, in your favor. This is your confirmation. You've already passed the test. Your resilience was the exam, your integrity the evidence, your hope the closing statement. And now the verdict is in. Victory. Restoration. Divine compensation. Leo, you were never fighting for approval. You were preparing to receive. And that receiving begins here. There is a massive, life-altering financial shift approaching, not in noise, but in perfect, divine silence. It won't show up with sirens or flashing lights. It will come softly, subtly, like a signature on a sacred document being delivered to your door. But the energy? It's massive. You'll feel it before you see it. And when it arrives, it will not ask for permission. It will settle into your life like it always belonged there. But here's the key. If you rush forward now, if you act from fear, if you move too fast, you might delay what's already been dispatched. Think of it as a delicate spiritual delivery. If you're too busy pacing, planning, or panicking, you'll miss the knock on the door. Your job now is to hold your peace, to ground your spirit, to trust that you are finally in alignment with your promise. The moment you choose stillness over action is the moment the universe gets the green light to release what has been held for you. You're not being punished by this pause. You're being positioned. The truth is, you were never overlooked. You were being set apart. And now, you are being set up for overflow. So if you've been feeling unusually calm lately, if old fears are trying to creep back in, if unexpected signs are appearing around you, this is the confirmation you've been waiting for. You're not losing it. You're not making it up. You're aligning with the delivery of something huge. Take a moment, Leo. Feel your feet on the ground. Let yourself breathe. Don't force clarity. Don't chase certainty. Just stay present. The breakthrough is coming from behind you, not because you're blind to it, but because it's meant to surprise you with grace. And if you feel this message speaking to your soul, if your spirit knows this truth is for you, comment below and say, I receive this. Or simply write, I'm ready. Your stillness is your signature. Your presence is your proof. And trust me, you're going to want to stay with me until the very end of this message. Because what the universe is revealing next is something you'll never forget. Shall we begin? Leo, your journey hasn't just been about endurance, it's been about becoming. For months, maybe even years, you've walked through fire and silence, armored with grace no one could see. You showed up for life while carrying invisible weight, smiled while breaking, hoped while hurting. You did all of this without applause, without validation, without certainty. And that, dear soul, is exactly why the universe now bows to you in reverence. You see, the world often misunderstands Leo's strength. It assumes that fire always looks like noise, that power must be dramatic, loud, or disruptive. But what most fail to recognize is that the most potent kind of fire is the one that holds rather than consumes. The kind that glows steadily even when no one is watching. The fire you've carried through dark nights wasn't just survival, it was sacred preparation. When you chose not to retaliate, not to prove, not to beg for love or recognition, that wasn't weakness. That was cosmic alignment. You were being taught the higher art of stillness. Not passive silence, but sovereign stillness, the kind that becomes magnetic in frequency. Because in energy work, stillness isn't absence. Stillness is declaration. When your energy stabilizes, it becomes a beacon. You no longer chase, you attract. According to the law of attraction, the moment you stop vibrating at the frequency of striving and shift into the frequency of knowing, everything begins to recalibrate. The things that once ran from you, opportunities, wealth, clarity, begin to orbit you naturally. You become the center. Not by force, but by resonance. This is the hidden reward of your restraint. You've moved from proving to embodying. From grasping to allowing. From fixing to simply being. And that state of being, when deeply rooted in belief, is more powerful than any action you could take. Let me paint this for you differently. Imagine you are a mountain. You don't need to scream to be seen. You don't run after clouds or winds. You stand, and in your standing, entire ecosystems align around you. You don't reach for rain, the rain finds you. This is the level of energetic sovereignty Leo is being initiated into right now. You are becoming the mountain. When you choose stillness, it is not indifference, it is spiritual maturity. And it is this maturity that signals to the universe, I'm ready. Not just for the money. Not just for the outcome. But for the responsibility of receiving. Because true abundance doesn't chase the frantic. It settles upon the peaceful. And you, Leo, are being invited into peace. So if things feel quiet right now, if you're not being asked to hustle or shout, take that as confirmation, not concern. You are in the eye of divine timing. The shift is happening because you're no longer operating on borrowed energy. You are tapped into your own power. And that's why everything is about to change. In our busy lives, it's easy to believe we have to strive constantly to be worthy. But maybe the most radical act of faith isn't doing more. Maybe it's trusting that your worth is unshakable, even in stillness. Maybe your stillness is the seed that the universe has been waiting to rain upon. And perhaps now, finally, it's raining. Allow it. Let the quiet become your crown. Let your stillness speak louder than your actions ever could. You're not stuck, Leo. You're being seen. You're not late. You're being aligned. And you're not forgotten. You're being rewarded in ways so extraordinary, they had to be delivered slowly, carefully, at a depth your soul could truly hold. The energy of wealth, unlike the chaos of want, moves with elegance. It's subtle, precise, and incredibly intentional. Leo, right now, something vast is approaching you, not with loud arrival, but with divine discretion. Like a high-ranking courier delivering a multi-million-dollar check, it only comes when the atmosphere is right. And that atmosphere is calm, focused, grounded in belief. This is not just a poetic analogy. In energetic terms, the field around you must stabilize in order for large-scale abundance to enter. The vibration of financial overflow is delicate and high-frequency. It cannot land in a mind flooded with panic, doubt, or frantic motion. Imagine you are a receiver, like an antenna tuning into a very specific broadcast. If you constantly switch channels, adjust dials, and scramble for clearer signals, you may miss the transmission altogether. The wealth that's coming toward you is like that signal. It has already been transmitted. The message is en route. But whether you fully receive it depends not on your hustle but your harmony. Right now, we are moving through powerful cosmic alignments. The recent new moon cycle, especially in connection with your 5th house of creative manifestation, is opening unseen doors. Trines to Jupiter and Venus have amplified the potential for material gain, particularly for those who've endured in silence. Astrologically, this is a season of reward for the spiritually mature, those who've learned to ground their fire and trust in divine timing. You, Leo, are standing in the exact center of that energetic alignment. But here's the twist: your fire must not flare. It must warm you from within while you remain steady in your spirit. Not passive, but poised. Wealth energy doesn't knock in the middle of a storm. It waits for stillness like a seed waits for fertile, undisturbed soil before breaking through. And in this analogy, your stillness is not just absence of movement, it's presence of knowing. You must know it's on its way. That kind of knowing becomes a gravitational force. That's why checking your bank account constantly, doubting if you're worthy, chasing confirmation from others, all of it pushes the delivery further. It's like changing your shipping address while the package is already in transit. The universe is efficient, but it doesn't waste precision. It only delivers to vibrational matches. I know it's not easy. Especially when bills are real, responsibilities are piling, and there's no tangible sign just yet. But that's where emotional training comes in. In energy healing, we often say that the nervous system must learn safety before the manifestation arrives. Because if it doesn't feel safe to receive, it will unconsciously block the very thing it asked for. This is your current work, creating emotional safety around abundance. It's not enough to want it, you must feel ready to hold it. Let this be your quiet daily mantra: I am ready. I am open. I trust it is coming. Say it not from desperation, but from assurance. Practice breathing into your belly, placing your hand on your heart, and staying grounded in the now. This trains your system to expect the good, not fear it. If you've made it here, you are already different. You're no longer chasing blessings. You're becoming the place they come home to. And trust me, Leo, they are on their way, not running toward your shout, but drawn to your stillness. Let it come. Let it land. Don't move. You're almost there. Leo, the silence you're being called into right now isn't emptiness, it's alignment. Stillness, often misunderstood as passivity or delay, is actually one of the most potent energetic forces available to you. In the energetic architecture of the universe, everything responds to vibration. And the most magnetic vibration is not frantic motion, but grounded, embodied knowing. When you are still, not just in your body but in your nervous system and your mind, you shift your entire frequency from pursuit to possession. You stop reaching outward and instead become the place where abundance naturally flows. This is the inner shift that separates those who chase from those who attract. In astrology, Leo is ruled by the sun, steady, radiant, and never in a rush. It doesn't shout to be seen. It simply rises, and the world orients itself around its light. This is the posture of quiet, sovereign stillness that you are being invited to adopt. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing everything with deliberate, rooted presence. Stillness recalibrates your nervous system. When you're constantly reacting to scarcity, checking, controlling, anticipating, you keep your energetic field in a state of subtle chaos. And in that chaos, the flow of wealth has nowhere to settle. But when you slow your breath, when you pause the obsessive thoughts, when you allow yourself to simply create a field of stability that abundance can safely land in. Think of it like a plane trying to land. The runway must be still and clear, not full of moving obstacles and turbulence. If you've been wondering why things haven't arrived yet, or why the flow seems to pause just before reaching you, consider this. Maybe it's not a delay. Maybe the delivery is already scheduled and en route, and the final step is simply making sure your container can receive without cracking. In energy therapy, we call this building capacity. And one of the fastest ways to do that is through micro moments of presence. 3 minutes a day, eyes closed, feet on the ground, one hand on your chest, one on your belly. Inhale slowly through your nose, exhale even slower through your mouth. Breathe like you've already received it. This isn't pretending. It's training your energy to expect good, to feel safe in the new frequency. Another beautiful self-help practice in this phase is the as-if journaling technique. Start every journal entry not with, I want, or, I hope, but with, I received. For example, I received the call confirming my new opportunity. I received the unexpected payment. I received the calm that came with knowing it was all already done. Write not to convince the universe but to signal to your subconscious that it's time to expand, to open, to relax into the inevitable. You're not here to beg the universe for blessings. You're here to become the kind of energetic environment where blessings thrive. You've already done the inner work. You've already survived what was meant to break you. Now, let your presence speak louder than your effort. You don't need to roar to be seen anymore. Your frequency is enough. Your stillness is the declaration. And in this rare kind of quiet, the universe hears you loud and clear. Stay there. Something extraordinary is on its way. Leo, there comes a moment in every great transformation when the soul stops needing an audience. That moment has arrived for you. After all the proving, all the defending, all the silent suffering, you no longer need to justify your light to anyone who was too blind to see it. The people who doubted your worth, who misunderstood your depth, who twisted your truth to fit their small perspectives, they no longer hold authority over your narrative. That power has been reclaimed, quietly and completely, in the sanctity of your becoming. You see, Leo, your journey hasn't been about convincing others. It's been about remembering yourself. And that remembering came at a cost: loneliness, rejection, emotional exhaustion, but it bought you something that can't be taken away: spiritual sovereignty. You no longer stand in the courtroom of other people's opinions. You've stepped out of that building entirely. And the truth is, kings and queens do not descend to debate with the crowd. They sit in quiet knowing, unmoved by noise, anchored in identity. That is where your power is now. Not in shouting louder, but in needing no response at all. When you try to prove yourself to people who cannot or will not see you, you shrink your energy to fit their limitations. And every time you do, you delay your own ascension. But when you stop explaining, when you stop defending, and when you start protecting your peace above all else, you expand into the version of yourself that the universe has been trying to deliver your blessings to all along. The truth is, Leo, the doors that are opening for you now were never dependent on anyone's permission. They are your inheritance, and they were written into your destiny before the first person ever doubted you. In emotional healing work, we often talk about the silent release. The kind where you don't slam the door, you don't make the dramatic exit, you just stop arguing. You let go in peace. You say nothing, but your silence carries centuries of wisdom. That kind of release is more than maturity. It is mastery. It's the moment when your energy becomes more valuable than your explanations. And when you operate from that frequency, you start attracting relationships, opportunities, and environments that don't require you to shrink, mask, or fight to be understood. This is the kind of energetic shift that the universe responds to. It's subtle on the surface, but seismic in the spirit. Your silence, when anchored in truth, becomes a beacon that calls in everything aligned and repels everything that no longer is. Not with force but with frequency. That is your new standard. And from this new place, forgiveness is not weakness. It is a sacred closing of the door. It says, I free you from my need to be seen by you. I choose peace, even if you never understood me. Let go of the need to have the last word. Let go of the stories they still tell about you. The version of you they were talking about no longer exists. That chapter is done. What matters now is the life that's arriving, not the one you had to survive. And if your heart is quietly nodding in agreement as you hear this, then say it with me, not out loud, but in your spirit. I no longer prove. I simply am. And that is enough. And if you're ready to declare that you are no longer living for validation but for embodiment, comment your name below and write, I am the one worthy of receiving. Let that be your energetic signature, your sacred contract signed in clarity. Because the universe already agrees. Leo, the signs are already whispering around you, perhaps louder than you realize. The universe rarely sends its confirmations with fireworks. Instead, it leaves breadcrumbs glimmering with divine timing scattered across your daily life. If you've noticed repeating numbers like 777, 888, or 1111 flashing on receipts, clocks, license plates, or random documents, don't dismiss them. These are not coincidences. They are calibration codes. Each sequence carries a vibration. 1111 is the gateway, a message that a new alignment is activated. 777 is the sacred echo of divine completion and inner alignment. And 888, perhaps the most relevant to your current vibration, is the symbol of infinite flow, abundance returned, and karmic balance restored. You are not being teased by these signs. You are being confirmed. In energy work, when the frequency of your field stabilizes at a higher octave, the universe sends these signals to let you know the transmission was received. It's like hearing a soft chime after sending a cosmic message. It means your coordinates have been locked in. You're on the map. Your delivery is en route. But with great confirmation comes one final test, the reappearance of old energy. People you thought had faded out of your story may begin to show up again through texts, dreams, memories, or sudden run-ins. Do not mistake this for regression. This is simply the universe asking, are you sure you're done with this lesson? It's a moment to choose your new vibration over the comfort of familiar pain. It's not about resisting or resenting their presence. It's about acknowledging what they represent and gracefully declining the invitation to step backward. You might also begin noticing small, unexpected financial gifts appearing: refunds, a forgotten payment, a discount you didn't expect, a $20 bill on the sidewalk. These are test pings from the universe, like a delivery service confirming your address before the major package arrives. It's checking that you're home, that your energy is steady and your hands are open. These small gifts are not the final reward, but the spiritual equivalent of, are you ready? And your task is not to grasp in desperation, but to receive in gratitude. If you're working with tarot or pulling cards during this time, don't be surprised if the Ace of Pentacles or the Wheel of Fortune shows up repeatedly. These archetypes mirror the energy of divine opportunity arriving unexpectedly, but with deep spiritual backing. The Ace of Pentacles is not just money, it's an offering of grounded new beginnings. The Wheel of Fortune signals karmic closure, upward spirals, and changes that are already in motion. You don't need to force these energies. You just need to let them land. To amplify this field, align your outer world with the inner. Consider wearing deep green associated with the heart chakra and the energy of abundance and gold tones, which signal financial confidence and sovereignty. These colors are more than aesthetic, they activate specific frequencies in your auric field, allowing wealth energy to recognize you. And if you're drawn to numerology, hold close to the number 8. In its shape, you see the infinity loop: unbroken, unstoppable, fertile. The energy of 8 doesn't just bring you wealth. It teaches you how to sustain it. And that is the lesson you're walking into now. Because what's coming is not luck, it's return. It's the universe saying, what was delayed is now released. Think of it like a frozen bank account finally thawing, releasing not only the original funds, but all the accrued interest sevenfold, as promised by universal law. Every closed door, every missed chance, every heartbreak. It's being tallied, and the balance is shifting. Your task now is not to splurge in euphoria, but to steward with grace. Log every gain. Track every unexpected inflow. Speak gratitude over each one. This shows the universe you're not just a receiver, you are a wise custodian of wealth. You were never meant to beg for scraps. You are the rightful heir to a legacy of abundance. And the signs? They're just the beginning. Watch closely. Stay grounded. The shift has already begun. Leo, this is the moment where you take the armor off, not because the battle no longer matters, but because you have already won. There is a sacred silence that follows every great victory, and you are standing right in the heart of it. Can you feel it? That subtle, yet powerful calm surrounding you is not emptiness, it is the sound of divine orchestration in motion. The universe is aligning behind the scenes, not in chaos, but in precision, and all it requires from you now is stillness, presence, and a soft, open heart. Stillness isn't laziness. It's leadership of the highest form. It's trusting that the seeds you've planted, the prayers you've whispered, the effort you've poured into your growth are now bearing fruit. You no longer need to push, prove, or pursue. You are being called to receive. So take a deep breath. Place one hand on your heart. Let that breath remind you, I don't need to fight to be worthy. I don't need to chase what's already mine. This is the time to crown yourself not with ego, but with grace. Let your self-care be your throne. 10 minutes a day of still presence, no checking, no planning, just being. A cup of calming tea. A drop of grounding essential oil on your wrists. These are not small acts, they are sacred rituals that remind your nervous system you are safe now. You are not surviving anymore. You are arriving. And there is a world of difference in how you hold yourself between those two states. Instead of rushing to act, begin quietly preparing to receive. Write down your vision. Make a gentle, grounded plan for how you will use what's coming, not just for yourself, but to build, to give, to anchor your legacy. Write a letter to the version of you who kept going even when no one clapped, who stayed kind when life was harsh. Tell them thank you. Because they brought you here. And now, as this chapter closes, ask yourself, what signs have been showing up for me? What little confirmations have whispered, it's on the way? I invite you to share in the comments, what are you sensing? Let your story be part of the collective miracle that we're building together here at Eternal Mindfulness. When you type it out, when you name it, you claim it. So, if this message resonated, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more, and comment below. 888 I am open to receive, to anchor this frequency deep into your field. Because every time you engage, you strengthen your connection to this stream of insight and love. And I promise you, Leo, this is only the beginning. You don't need to run anymore. Everything you've ever reached for, peace, wealth, love, recognition, is no longer a distant goal. It's arriving. Quietly. Powerfully. And it's looking for someone steady enough to hold it. You're not just a winner. You're the one chosen to carry the light of your own victory into the world. Sit tall in that light, and let everything you deserve come find you. Welcome home.